And if you want to listen to / watch the show, I don't know why you would want to watch radio, but at least you could see my face talking and my earphones and stuff. But that's on YouTube. You can just search for Gary Quackenbush or GQ Law, and it comes up as Gary Quackenbush on the Word on Wealth Radio. And there we are. You can, I guess it's good to see your radio host, what color shirt he's wearing for the day, but there you go. All right. So a couple of things I think is kind of fun is when it is dealing with like real life. I mean, I really wish that I could just on this show is talk about, all the people I've talked to just today. It would be wonderful, or just this week, and say, hey, here's somebody's situation, and that would be a violation of privacy unless I get permission. And I usually don't say, hey, by the way, can I talk about your specific stuff on the radio? But when I do have questions answered because they're submitted to me, and or I have permission to talk about cases, or the facts are really, they're not specifically to any particular individual. So that's the way we do it. Just this, we're all about teaching you guys, education, how this stuff works. I was talking to somebody, I don't know, it was this week sometime. And a lot of times when I'm sitting with potential clients or people that are thinking about hiring me to do an estate plan, I ask them, why are you here? And what's prompted you to come here? I mean, I know why they're there. They're there because they want to meet me. No, they're there to talk about estate planning. But I ask them what prompted it, because I always want to know, did you recently have like a traffic scare, or, were you sick longer than you thought? Did you fall down? What happened? And many times people just say that they have gone through it recently with parents passing away or family members, and they heard what a crazy, awful process happens after someone dies. And this one family that I was talking to, they said, we just want to avoid courts and judges and probate and all that garbage. I said, why are you so excited? And the husband had, with 2 family members, had been through the probate process recently. And he said it was unbelievable. It took so long, and every time you wanted an answer to a question, it took forever. Anything that went on with the court took months. It just went on and on and on. And he said the flexibility was crazy, the inflexibility. Like if they wanted to sell a piece of property, they had to get court authority, they had it. And if somebody in the family wanted to buy the property, oh my gosh, that is quite a process. You do, court notifications, to say that it's somebody, the quote insider that's trying to buy the property. It's all possible, but it is so slow and so difficult compared to having a living trust. And the way I talk about living trust, you'd think, Gary thinks these things are the best things since sliced bread. Well, they kind of are, you guys. It really makes a big difference. Really, really makes a huge difference. It's a difference between having things done by agreement or having things done by a judge. And when you get things done in front of a judge, everybody gets their opportunity to scream about it, respond about it, respond to the respond, reply to the response to the response. I mean, it gets to be where this ridiculous amount of involvement goes on. Even some people that you shouldn't think would even be responding. Well, all that ends up coming into the probate court, and the judges do the best they can. But if you get on a situation where it's very contentious, you just end up going back to hearing over and over and over. And if you're fighting about stuff, you guys, in probate court, it's going to be a year. It's just going to be a year or 2 because of the process, the way the petitioning process goes and how fast the courts act. It's going to be a couple of years before it gets resolved, and it's going to cost a small fortune. When you inherit money, it's not fun to spend it all on lawyers. I mean, I don't really mind that personally, but from a standpoint of helping my clients, which is what my job is, and that's what the oath that I took to do an attorney job thing is, I want to be able to help clients. All right. So if you've got questions for me, it's 888-344-1170. Case of the week. All right. So what I'm going to do, not right now, but in our next segment, I'm going to talk about a couple of cases that came up, which are a lot of fun. And we'll talk about some specifics, kind of tangly one, and then one that's pretty straightforward. If you want a trust review, I think that's really important. I've done several of those this week alone for our listeners. And we were looking and going over things like, well, what does your trust say? And what I like to do is go through it and say, you're going to see the top of my head for a few minutes, but I'm going to look at your trust. I'm going to look at it briefly, not every detail. And I'm going to tell you what your trust will do for you. And so I go through and say, okay, so-and-so is in charge. This is what's going to happen. This is what they do. They have the authority to do this. And as far as the distributions, they're going to go this and this and this. And we go through that. And a lot of times the clients they're okay with it. And they say, yep, that's what I want. That's what I thought. But I have had many times where the client says, no, that's not what I wanted. This was 10 years ago. I must have been thinking improperly or whatever. And so we have to do corrections. But that's what we do at GQ Law, and they are sponsoring this show. So happy that they do that. If you want to call and get a consultation with me or Rich, it's 855-500-TRUST. That's 855-500-TRUST. We can help you with any of your estate planning needs, including distribution of assets, probate, if that's an issue. If you have questions, if somebody's coming after you in probate, get a lawyer. Get us, 855-500-TRUST. Okay, coming up next, we have got a couple of cases. Specifically, we're going to talk about to help you understand some of this trust administration type stuff. And that's coming up next here on The Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is faith-based investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Call.
Gary, how do you and your team help our listeners avoid probate?
Well, first of all, probate is a process that involves attorneys, judges, and sometimes contesting parties. And so we try to avoid probate at pretty much all costs. The way we
Yeah, I'm guessing no, Anthony. I have not. I called, left a message on his cell phone. I got the email out there, so I think we are on our own, dude.
Yeah, thing. All right.
Hey, Tom, thanks for the confirmation there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, he used to confirm with Anthony, and Anthony said, hey, I'll be on every week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I remember. Tom used to send that weekly email.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to that weekly email. I'm just saying.
Go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos.
Read Gary. I can only talk about cheeseburgers so much on my own from a non-financial perspective.
Yeah, you know how that is. That's okay.
High-five.
You can
500 trust.
cue me up for
Who are
the decision of your lifetime.
Days of the week. Doo-doo-doo. Can I sing it? No, I wouldn't do that to you.
And the Pecos Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecos has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecos Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecos is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecos.com. That's Ken Pecos, Pecus.com, or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
And now it's time for the Gary Quackenbush GQ Law Case of the Week.
The week.
The week.
All right. So we got some, I'm going to answer some questions here. The question is, how do I write a letter giving my sister my share of our mother's home? Okay. Get that. So it's clients or it's listeners wanting to know that. So the background is our mother died last year, and in her will, she divides her house 4 ways to sister and 2 brothers and her, the writer. My sister spent at least 8 years taking care of our mother who has Alzheimer's disease. My sister had very little money, so I want to help her out and give her my share of my mother's estate. She needs me to write in a letter and have it notarized. Is this all I need to do to give her my share? Great question. Okay. So to do a property transfer, see, I think what we're talking about here is that they may be far along in the probate process or the trust administration process, because if it says a will, if there's a will, it would be in probate. Okay. So I don't have all the details, but if the probate and everything is all over and now the house is owned by the 2 brothers and the 2 sisters, and she wants to give her share to the sister, then it's more than just a letter. She can write a letter that would show her intent, and that would show exactly, what she plans to do, so that maybe sister can then depend on that. But it's going to be more than that. It's going to have to be a deed. So the person that's asking the question, she would have to create a deed, probably a quit claim deed, that would say that her 25% interest in mom's home goes to her sister. Her sister already has 25%, so that would make her a 50% owner. The other way, if it were just cash, like let's say that it hasn't been distributed yet. So it just says the mom's entire estate divides everything 4 ways, and there just happens to be a house there. And now this sister doesn't want the house. She wants to she wants to basically give it to her other sister. So she can either do that by exchanging the title for cash, or if she just wants to give it to her and not even receive any cash for it, then that can be done. But it's going to be done with a deed, and it has to be done really officially. And if the one sister is going to own the whole house, then the other brothers would have to do the same thing. The tax consequences, as far as like income tax, not going to be a big deal. There won't be any issue with that, depending on the value of the house. No, there shouldn't be any value of that. But then as far as a gift, it will now be a gift from sister to sister. And if the brothers gift the house to their sister, that's the same thing. So there's going to be a gift issue there. There'll have to be a gift tax return that's filed. There's not going to be any gift tax unless you've already, in your own personal world, given away more than $12 million. If you have, congratulations, fantastic. That's awesome. you report it on a gift tax return and pay gift taxes if you've already gifted over $12 million. If you've not in your lifetime gifted over $12 million, then you don't have to worry about a gift. It just has to be reported if the value of the gift is over $15,000. So great question. Great question. And if you have questions specifically for me, I'd love to hear from you. The number is 888-344-1170. Okay. This is a little more complicated, so I'll get through the question and then we'll translate it, okay? The question is, my family is involved with a trust and a property situation. In the will, all the property was left in trust. I don't know what to do. Last December, grandfather passed away, and in his will, he left all of his property, businesses, and possessions to my mother and uncle in the form of an estate trust. My uncle is older and is the president and seems to be making decisions without including the rest of the family. In the will, my mother was to live in the house and also to receive some cash. Now my uncle is saying that there is a big offer on the property and he is considering selling my grandfather's property. Okay, got that? So this is grandpa's property. It's going to mother and uncle. Okay, now uncle is the trustee. The understanding is that mom is supposed to have the right to live there for a while, but she wants to know, what rights does my mother have at this point, and how can we get the trust fairly divided? So what the rights the mother will have, you need to look at the living trust. This is going to be super important as to why, what it says in the trust. Is mom really allowed to live in the house for, a few years or the rest of her life, or until she gets on her feet, or, whatever? That has to be determined by the trust document. If the trust is silent on that point and doesn't mention that mom gets to live there, I'm sorry, mom doesn't get to live there. It has to be in writing. It has to be written in that trust. If grandpa at this big family gathering right before he passed away said, my daughter gets to live in my house for the rest of her life, and then passes away, there's still going to be a question of, was he under pressure? Did he really mean it? Is that what he was supposed to say? Was he under duress? Was he, it was the day before he died. So it has to be in writing. It has to do with real property. That's what's going to control. I mean, everybody can agree to something different, but by law, it has to be in writing. Okay. Now, the other thing, my question that obviously, what I would need to know is, are mom and uncle co-trustees? Because if they are co-trustees, then there's a 50-50 split on the decisions that they make. So it's not going to be like your mom is going to be like cheated out of anything. If she's a co-trustee, she has to be in on all the decisions. And so if there's any decision that goes on without your mom's consent, without her signature, without her agreeing to it as co-trustee, then there's going to be a way to pull that back, kind of drag it back into that, the trust estate. It may require a judge. You may have to go to probate court and get a judge to order that. But if there's a co-trustee situation and one of the co-trustees is acting independently and the trust does not allow it, then they're doing it in violation of the trust. And the possibility is you go into probate court, you file a petition and say, hey, I'm the co-trustee with my brother. He's being totally irresponsible and disobeying the terms of the trust and doing whatever he feels like. I want him removed so I can be the sole trustee. That's the petition you would file. Okay. So the one thing that this question was also, remember, she's talking about grandpa's trust and mom's money, mom's estate, and mom, she's trying to figure out what rights does my mother have? What can I do myself at this point? And I'm sorry to tell you, you have nothing in the trust unless you are a beneficiary. Because you're your mother's daughter, you're your mom's heir, doesn't mean you have any rights in this thing. So do you have the right to petition? No, you don't have any rights. You're not a beneficiary. Your mom is. This is all your mom's stuff. She needs to make the choices and the decisions. You can consult with her, give her ideas, do your research, but she's going to be the one that has to hire the attorney and actually make the final decisions. Okay? Because it's your mom's dad's money is going to your mom, and then your mom eventually is going to pass it to you. But at this point, she's alive and she's the one that has all the rights. So good for you for helping out with that. But I'd be happy to look at that, have your mom call me 855-500-TRUST, and I'll look at the trust with her and see what power she has, what authority, what her role is, what about the house, and then see if there's something we can do. If it's not specifically, if it's not specifically laid out in the trust, what she wants, like living in the house and all that, maybe it's something we can, get your uncle to agree to, but that's gonna be your mom's thing. So have her come in and see me, and let's go over that 855-500-TRUST. All right. Great questions. Thank you very much for bringing those up, you guys. If you have other questions, you can call on the air. We've got lines open right now, 888-344-1170. If you want to get a hold of me, it's 855-500-TRUST. Okay. I have a seminar that I'm putting on. It's a real estate professional friend of mine, and it's on the Thursday, the 27th. It's going to be an estate planning seminar in the Mission Valley area. It's going to be free. We only have availability of 30 seats, and we have about 20 of them filled already. So if you want to get in on the action, call my office, 855-500-TRUST. You're going to be talking to Jennifer, and just call up and say, I want to go to Gary's seminar on the 27th. So that's coming up Thursday, April 27th. That'll be exactly 2 weeks from today. So put it on your calendar. You don't want to commit to it until like the moment before, but put it on your calendar. You're going to call my office, 855-500-TRUST. You're going to give me, please, your name, email, phone number. If you don't want to call and you're super techie, go to my website, gqlaw.com. And you can go to the contact us form. Easy, right? It's on everybody's website. So you go on my website, click on contact us. I want to go to Gary's seminar. And you're going to have to put in your email address and give me your phone number. And then that way we can put you on the list and get you there. It's going to be fun. It'll be me answering your questions about estate planning. It'll be me live and local, and you can meet me and meet my team. And that would be fantastic. That's on the 27th of April. Call 855-500-TRUST and get on the reservation list for estate planning with Gary Quackenbush. And we'll see you there on the 27th. I think the conversation that would be good to have is different types of trusts. I had a question that came up very recently about a asset protection trust. Somebody else asked about a legacy trust. Somebody asked about like a multi-generational trust. There was a spousal protection trust. There's Spendthrift Trust, Q-tip Trust, Special Needs Trust, Qualified Domestic Operations, QDOT Trust, Irrevocable Life Insurance Trust. There's all these different kinds of trusts. So I thought would be good is to take a little bit of time this afternoon, and we'll go over the different types of trusts, because I don't want a lot of confusion on that. What I really want is you to understand the different types of trusts so that you can either learn for yourself and know what you need, or know what needs to be changed with your own estate plan, or two, that you'd have enough information where you can help your kids or your grandkids understand enough about estate planning where they can take the responsibility of getting their own. Estate planning has to be done by everyone, because if you don't do it, you're on your own. The state of California's got a plan for you. Oh yeah. Going to cost you a fortune. But, if your fortune is big or little, it's still a fortune. It's all you got. And what we're doing is we're estate planning. Our plan is planning your estate, and your estate is everything you've got, big or small, tall or wide. It's everything you got. And that's what we're taking care of. You're going to love working with my team. Our turnaround time, by the way, is only 2 weeks. We are still at 2 weeks. We're pushing really hard to make sure that we can meet that. And so most people are happy with 2 weeks. Some people need a little bit tighter than that. Some people want longer, but 2 week turnaround from the day that you meet with me and we talk about your estate plan, come up with a game plan on what needs to be done, what it will cost. And then we have you set an appointment to come back in 2 weeks. All the information, we will get it from you in the meantime, and we'll put it together, and you'll have your estate planning done in 2 weeks. It's so good. So you decide you want to do it, you can get it done in 2 weeks. Call us up, 855-500-TRUST. All right, coming up next, different types of trust here on the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
I shot Tom an email too, and I said,
And the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST. Or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500.
Trust. All right. 500 Trust. That's cool. 855-500 Trust. If, by the way, if you memorize that number, 855-500 Trust, you're going to get a special gift because you call it, and I'll invite you to my seminar that I'm doing on the 27th. It's going to be in Mission Valley. We're going to talk about estate planning. The nice thing about doing it as a seminar format is I have my little presentation thingy, and most people really like it. If they hated it, I wouldn't do it again. And I've done it a lot of times. And that way we can kind of get a handle on what estate planning is, how it's involved, how it will affect you, and should you care? Because of course you should care. That's why we're spending so much time talking about it. We're doing this every day, guys. We're talking about estate planning. And you know how we do it. We got our real estate guy on Wednesdays. Friday, we have Finding Joy Friday. In fact, tomorrow is going to be super cool because we have Fique. Darcy Fique.
Darcy Fique.
Darcy Fique. So
Making up names, Gary.
I know it. Gosh, dang it. But you know, this is not a criminal investigation. And so I can go ahead and fumble names all I want. Darcy is a mental health professional, that is our theme on Fridays, Finding Joy. And I asked her if she could talk to us about giving us some pointers. Yeah, when things are like they are, it's San Diego. We're really depressed here because we have not had sun in like 3 days.
And I thought we were over it. And I was even looking at you and I were talking before the show, Gary. I was looking at the app. I'm like, clear skies. I get off work. I drive home. I'm like, what is this rain?
No, it didn't rain yesterday. It didn't.
Sure it didn't.
No, it said on my phone. It said on
the
weather report, there was no rain. And I don't know what was all over the lawn or the driveway this morning. And I don't know what was falling out of the sky or why my truck was like stopping. It was not rain. It couldn't have been rain. It must have been something else because it said on my report, 0 chance of rain, even this morning. Yeah. So
I got more non-rain on the way in.
So, you brought this up to me about, because I was talking to Andrea Kay on Tuesday about artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I think it's artificial stupidity. So sometimes we just think, oh my gosh, that machine figured that out. That is so smart. And what we have to be careful of is artificial stupidity. You know how soft we get. Well, you know how I fight it. And I didn't talk to Andrea about this, but the way I fight it, because I'm such a fighter, is I try to just do things on my own. Like I want to figure something out instead of going, hey, Alexa, what is 6 + 6? I try to remember what it is, 13 or something.
You know what's funny is I always try and stump Alexa. It's kind of one of my guilty hobbies.
Nice. Well, that's good. All you have to do, there's certain questions she can't answer, which is pretty cool. But I will admit, my son calls me an early adopter. That's actually a thing, apparently, where I just, I kind of get in early on technology and stuff like that. It's a lot of artificial intelligence, I think, is wonderful. It's great. It's awesome. My car's not.
If used properly as a tool,
Yep.
It can, it can really just make things with your work life easier, more streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Things are at your fingertips. Again, it's all about how you use it.
Exactly. It's how you use your own brain. Do you use it responsibly or do you use it irresponsibly?
Well,
Right.
it made me feel more comfortable too, because I've seen way too many sci-fi movies and Terminator and all that stuff, which I love, but it gets me to freak out. But
Yeah.
you've had conversations with individuals where they're like, at least from a power standpoint,
Mhm.
that's just not going to happen.
Well, I think it's good that we're worried about it.
We should always err on the side of caution.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when the printing press, okay, there's this really cool book and it's called How We Got to Now. I can't remember the name of the author. My wife just turned me on to it. I listened to it on Audible, How We Got to Now. And it's one of those things, kind of like the author of Outliers. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Anyway, so he's a like a reporter, writer. He's a writer, and he does this thing called How We Got to Now. And it was so interesting because it was like, how did we get to where we are now? Like glass is everywhere. So he talks about 5 things that happened that were invented in our world a long, long time ago.
Malcolm Gladwell.
It's like a Malcolm Gladwell type book, a lot of thinking. And one of the sections this guy talks about is glass. And he says, how we got to now, it talks about glass, how, the first time glass was discovered was back in, ancient Egyptian times, where there was this blue glass that was actually on, like, as a decoration in like an old crypt. And they went and found where the blue glass came from. And it was literally this one area in the desert that somehow got heated up over 1,000 degrees and had this glass because the sand melted. And so people started to figure that out. Anyway, it gets all the way to, with glass, it got to be, clear and you could use it and it wasn't just a decoration. They started putting it, to keep out, sound and wind and weather and stuff like that. And then they talked about glasses, and glasses were needed because of the printing press. Because it used to be that the only people that would read were like the monks and people that would transcribe things and make copies of books. And they, as they got older, were looking at these little scripts, and they had a big, like a magnifying glass. It was an old fashioned magnifying glass. They sit it on the paper and it made it magnified. And then somebody said, hey, wait a minute. It would be nice to not have to just, use a magnifying glass, but have them stuck to my head. And so they have these first glasses, and that made it so that people could then read. Well,
Isn't that fascinating? That's cool.
Well, and the thing about the reading thing is, it was like, there were people that were saying, this is the devil's tool. You cannot print things out and give them to people to read. This is wrong. This is evil. This is the evil one trying to take over the world. The printing press should be destroyed because people should not be reading things because they can disseminate information. It was crazy. So the printing press got really bad press, if you will. It really it was debated as being like this one thing that was going to destroy the world. What happened when cars came out? Your horses and cows and all that stuff, you ride them and it's all good and fine. But then when somebody came up with a car, People freaked out. It was going to destroy society. It was noisy. It was, it was like people freaked out that there was a car going to be created. And you look back in history and all these inventions that we take for granted now, they were really ticking people off and really, that the world's going to be, how could you do this to our cities and towns? And now you got all these noisy cars and, what are you doing? You're ruining society. We got to get rid
There's
of
always a
cars.
slippery slope. You just have to make sure who's in charge, how much oversight and regulation there is. But again, from a tool standpoint, I mean, these are just things that have benefited society.
Absolutely. And that's where we are with the AI. And it is how we control it and how we manage it. But I mean, that's our job as human beings. We're supposed to be able to manage our own environment. So if we're going to use computers to help us do that, great. But you always have to have a lot of people who are managing and making sure that the artificial intelligence is it's serving us as opposed to the opposite.
Well, and as it is right now, and again, things could change because the technology leaps just forward, in a nanosecond.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's, what you put into it, what a programmer puts into it is what it can do and no more.
Right. Well, because the algorithms are created by people and they have lean, political lean, moral lean, because that's the person that's programming. So that's what you have to monitor. So I think it's fascinating. I mean, it's coming. We got to try to control it. We have to control it, period. So we don't get the Terminator thing. I don't want one of those shiny fish swimming around and trying to eat me if I'm out there swimming in the backyard.
But imagine a robo financial planner or a wills and estate plan supervisor named Gary Quackenbush. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, the thing is that artificial intelligence does create wills and trusts right now. Online, you can do it. And what I'm finding is that it doesn't get the information right. It has no personality. It doesn't do any good explaining. If you think
here on the show, we are full of personality.
We are full of personality and explanationating. So that's important. That's why we're here on the Word on Wealth. Did we digress? Did we go down a rabbit trail? No, artificial intelligence, it's here. We've been using it for years, and now it's just kind of getting more in our face, and it's developing faster. It's geometric progression in speed of development of things, by the way, guys. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. Today, we are talking all things estate planning, and we're going to talk about different types of trusts. I digressed on the artificial intelligence thing because I am always concerned about our world and making our world a better place and keeping it to be a happy place. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow on the Word on Wealth when we have our Finding Joy Friday with Darcy Fique that's coming on. She's a mental health professional that will be helping us out tomorrow. We're super happy about that. If you want to go to my seminar, estate planning seminar, live and local, it's going to be April 27th, Thursday. Call 855-500-TRUST and get on the list. We'll be right back.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of
anytime you want to
build, protect, and
we have an expert on it that he talks about on his show all the time. Maybe
buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecos and the Pecos Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of the Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on the Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecos has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecos Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecos is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecos.com. That's Ken Pecos, Pecus.com, or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
No,
Hi. Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
You're live.
Happy Thursday. This is Gary Quackenbush here on The Word on Wealth. We got lines open, 888-344-1170. Call and ask me your questions about trusts and estates. I'm happy to answer them. Types of trusts. Sometimes we really get tangled up in the jargon and the buzzwords, and sometimes I throw them out there and it just, I don't think about it. And I think I confuse a lot of people when I'm talking about things like, oh, that's a Q-tip trust, special needs trust. Oh, that's Spendthrift Trust. That's a philanthropic trust, asset protection. It's an ILET. Those are all different terms that we throw out and they mean different things. So I will start out with let's say a Spendthrift Trust. What the trust that I prepare, if you get a living trust from me, it will be a living trust and it will be a Spendthrift Trust. The Spendthrift Trust, the idea is that if you have, let's say you have a beneficiary, one of your kids, and they are going to be getting money from your trust after you pass away. So you are both, your husband and wife are both gone, both dead, and now the money is left to be paid out to children. Okay, one of the kids is lousy with money or has a lawsuit against him or something. So the creditor, finding out that he, has inherited all this money, the creditor will send a claim to the successor trustee and say, hey, this kid owes me money. Pay me instead of him. Well, under normal circumstances and in a normal trust, the trustee would have no choice but to obey the demand to send the money to the creditor. However, if the trust is set up as a Spendthrift Trust, it gives the successor trustee the ability to immediately convert that trust to an annuity, meaning all that trust will do, instead of giving a lump sum of cash to that beneficiary, the trust is going to pay that the beneficiary with the tax problems or the money problems. It's going to pay them over time, and it's going to be an annuity that's going to be paid on behalf of that individual, that child.
Speaking of time, Gary, I think in the next few minutes we should be chatting right now with James from Santee. He's got a couple of questions for you.
James from Santee. Hey, James, welcome to the show.
Hello there, Gary. Just a quick background here. So my brother recently passed away last year. It was all of a sudden, no trust, no will, no anything like that.
I'm sorry.
And he basically had, I would say, in his estate, $250,000 worth of stuff, mostly vehicles. He had a lot of vehicles and things like that.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if it's true or not. So basically, what's left, I have an older sister. He was the middle child. I'm the youngest. I have an older sister, and my father is still presently alive. Now he has been taking over everything. Now, is that true that in California, the parent is like next to control everything if there was no will, no trust, or nothing like that of all this stuff?
So your brother didn't have a wife, no children.
Divorced. He divorced, and the divorce was, finalized and everything. And no, he had no children.
And no children. Okay. Yeah. So
No.
what happens then is if he has no will, no determination of what's going to go on, we don't know what his quote will is. We don't know what he wanted to have done. Then California law, it makes the property then pass through bloodlines, because it can't go down to bloodlines because he has no children. It's going to go back up. And the bloodline is, he's got one bloodline from mom and one bloodline from dad. So literally half of his estate goes to your dad and half of his estate goes to your mom. So yeah.
My mother's not with us anymore. It's just my dad and my sister are the only part of the family that's left as far as bloodlines.
Okay. So then the way that would work is, because your dad is alive, he would inherit half of your brother's stuff. And then your mom's bloodline would get the other half. So that means you and your sister. Because it's just you and your sister. Yeah, because you are in your mom's bloodline. Half went to your dad, half went to your mom, but your mom's passed away. And so it goes down through her bloodlines. So you and your sister are her bloodlines. So that's what from what you're describing, half of it should go to you and your sister and half of it will go to your dad.
I see. Because he's pretty much, I don't want to get into like a bad family nightmare situation. And we are all really close and things like that. So me and my sister are kind of just like, well, I guess we'll just let dad take over everything. And I said, it's like 7 vehicles and a little bit of money and things like that. So we're just kind of letting him take control of everything. But just recently, this happened. He passed away in August of last year. But now, recently, my sister lives in Arizona, and me and my dad live in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like, well, I'm not really seeing any of this stuff. Dad's taking control of everything, and I'm not really seeing anything. But, it's like you're saying, according to you, we should get half of everything going on right now. So I don't know if we need to maybe talk to your law firm or something like that. But it's like a rock and a hard place. I don't want to, get tensions with my dad and things like that, but he really just, it goes to me. I'm the father. I take care of everything, but it just didn't seem like that was correct to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. It goes half to mom, half to dad. Mom's deceased, so now you follow dad. Now you follow mom's bloodlines, and mom's bloodline is you and your sister. So you would get 1/4. Your sister would get 1/4. Your dad would get 1/2. Yeah. Okay. And the thing is, you can show your dad that. You can tell him, hey, I talked to an attorney and this is what he said. You could look it up online and look it up and just say, California law, no will, who gets the money if a kid dies with no will, and then it'll go through and explain that under the laws of intestacy. Yeah, it doesn't, because your mom's, because your mom is already gone. That's how it's going to flip back around and go to you guys. It's not going to all go to your dad. Okay. It can't, if your dad were, no, even if your mom and dad were deceased, even if they're divorced, it wouldn't matter, because you're still, your brother's bloodline is your dad and your mom.
Yeah. Okay, Gary, one last quick question. So let's say my father passed away. So it's just me and my sister left of the bloodline. Now, is it like a 50-50 exact split? Because she was saying something like, well, I'm the older sibling, so I should get more. Is that true at all?
That's, if you're going under the Old Testament of the Bible, and you were the oldest son, then you would get 2 portions, but not oldest daughter. We're not under Bible times anymore. No, it has nothing to do with age.
Okay.
Nothing to do with age,
Okay.
age or angry or intelligence. It's just, no, it's not. It's a bloodline. You're just divided by bloodlines.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate all the information.
Hey, James, you're welcome. Leave your phone number with Noah before you go, okay? Because I don't want you to leave it on air, but leave it with Noah. That way, if I have any issues, if I'm wrong, I'll call you up and say, hey, James, talk to me about this. But I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Thanks for being on the air.
I will do that for sure.
All right. And enjoy the rest of your day. All right, James, thank you. That was a great call. We really appreciate it. That the laws of intestacy, we'll have to do a show on that. That'd be kind of cool. It's just do the whole show and talk about what happens if you die without a will and without a trust, without anything, and go over some scenarios, because it's different than a lot of people think. I mean, you get stuck going like, what? How does that work? Those are called that's the laws of intestacy. If you die testate, that means you have a will. If you die intestate, means you die without a will. Sans testate. So there you go, intestate. James, thanks for the call. All right, so different types of trust. We have the Spendthrift Trust, and that is it prevents it so that if a beneficiary is supposed to receive money and they've got money problems, the creditor can't just jump in and take the inheritance. Instead, the successor trustee can now control the money and pay bills on behalf of that, basically the poor money guy beneficiary, and can pay his rent and utilities or whatever for him till the money's all gone. The next one is a special needs trust. We've talked about that before. Talked about all this before. I've been doing this forever, right? Special needs trust is if you have a beneficiary with disabilities, they are on disability. They're incapacity. Disability, I mean, typically it's the beneficiary does not have the mental ability to actually control money. And so you don't want the money going to them for that one reason. Another reason is you don't want money going to them because they receive government assistance, like maybe they're on Medi-Cal. And so if they're on Medi-Cal, which is the federal, that's the California equivalent of Medicaid. So if they're on Medi-Cal because they don't have any money, if they inherit money, the Medi-Cal goes away, all those benefits, it stinks. And then as soon as they spend all their inheritance on medical and care and treatment, then Medi-Cal will kick back in. But there's a way to avoid that. Special needs trust, you put it in the control of a special needs trustee, and that special needs trustee will manage that money and make sure that special needs beneficiary is taken care of. They can have money for education. They can have money for, all kinds of things. It's really, special needs trusts are really cool in that it helps a special needs beneficiary get through life, pay for education, pay for transportation, pay for assistance, help, medical, travel, all kinds of stuff. Special needs trusts are super awesome. We'll talk more about that on our shows coming up in the future. All right, you've been listening to The Word on Wealth. I'm really happy to have you along today. Super glad that you came along and you're listening to the show. Keep it up. We'll be back tomorrow with Darcy Fique, mental health professional, on our Finding Joy Friday. She's going to give us some pointers on realistic reality pointers on how to find joy in our everyday life. Not necessarily happy, but it might be something important to hear about finding joy. We're going to be talking about that. And of course, Noah and I are always going to keep our discussion rolling on the what's happening with artificial intelligence and, how about unnatural intelligence? No, that would be artificial. That'd be real, natural. Artificial.
Great day, Gary.
Oh my goodness. Have a great day, you guys. See you later. Bye.
Tell a friend about The Word on Wealth, featured since 1995. With financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on The Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics. Seek legal advice from a competent lawyer for your individual legal needs.